Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Downright Annoyed with Movies. I am Jackson from Bored and Annoyed, and I am here with the usual suspects this evening. All of us are here again. It looks like Cookie has moved into a new home, so congratulations, Cookie. But yeah, as always, here with the sort of co-sponsor of this show, Michael. And let's hop right into it. Let's all introduce ourselves, starting with and do we want to do an intro and our initial thoughts all in one of the movie, or how do you want to do this tonight? Let's start with
it's your show today.
It's your channel. It's going to be a disaster then. Although we did clock in at just under 30 minutes last week, which was that was pretty impressive.
But, yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Ryan, let's do an intro from you since you picked this week, and give us a little your initial thoughts on the movie.
Well, I'm Ryan from the Fake Nerd Podcast. We're a weekly pop culture podcast. We do movies, video games, comics, that sort of thing. Kind of the thing all these wonderful guys do here. We do it live every Sunday. I'll tell you more about it afterwards because we're going to do this again afterwards. I'll tell you more about it. I bought this movie from Blockbuster when it closed for $1 over 10 years ago. And at the time, over 10 years ago, I was a theater major or theater student, and I was big into theater and musicals and all that stuff. So I bought it for $1 and I watched it, and I loved it, and I haven't watched it since. And I watched it again, and I'm like, oh wow, I like this movie even more now that I'm an adult and I can relate to some of the things in it. I think it's wacky and weird, while also being like really emotional and like believable at times. And that's my first opinion.
All right. Thank you, sir. And we're going to go right over to Paul because I know Paul has shared a little bit of his thoughts and some scoldings that he may have gotten in the household. So, Paul.
Yeah. I'm Paul with the podcast Tales from the Flipside, live on Monday nights. Check out our YouTube channel. We have a bunch of other shows and some playlists of good stuff to watch if you're still stuck inside as the world attempts to go back to normalcy. But my wife and I were just waiting for this movie to end. I'm sorry, man.
It's okay.
For us. I was like, oh, musical. My wife would love it. She's like, this is not her definition of a musical. So unfortunately, it was not our favorite. And so I'll have to strategically pick what I stream in the living room from now on.
Oh, yeah.
And Ken?
I'm Ken from Pinky's Out Podcast. We talk about beer and miscellaneous things that beer leads us down the rabbit hole on. I really like this movie. I'm not usually a musical fan, but I love James Gandolfini. He just is an amazing actor. And I started watching it. My wife wasn't paying attention. She was doing something on her iPad. And all of a sudden, Steve Buscemi started talking about tennis players in their uniform with a tennis ball in their panties. And she just like, what the hell did he just say? So... I don't. The whole movie is like it's just like I don't know, where do you start? I mean, Christopher Walken's fantastic. Susan Sarandon did a great job. It's just an all-star cast. It's just one of those movies you're just gonna laugh. It's not super heady. It's mostly lighthearted about infidelity, but it had a pretty good twist towards the end with Gandolfini getting lung cancer and kind of reconciling and trying to make things right with his wife, Susan Sarandon. So, and then the whole fight with the neighbors over shoveling snow into their walks was just fantastic. So,
spoilers from this point on.
Yeah. Thank you, Ken. And Cookie, what'd you think?
Hey guys, I'm Cookie from Just a Little Podcast. I thought it was a decent movie. It's not your mom and pop's miracle, DreamWorks type of, I guess, musical, if you'd say. It definitely is a stretch in the musical aspect, but it's nice. It's lighthearted for some points. It's not something you can watch with your mom or watch with your wife at times. Like I'm sitting there in the bed just watching this thing. She's like, what the hell are you watching? And this girl's just bouncing up and down. And he's like, I'm having a heart attack. So, I mean, it's a hilarious movie. Once Christopher Walken made his way onto the picture, that was it for me. I started to enjoy it a lot more. His voice, his charismatic way that he portrays his character is great. The overall theme of the movie is pretty good. So, I mean, if you got nothing to do, definitely check it out, watch it out. I highly recommend it.
All right. And then, of course, Michael.
Hey, guys. I'm Mike from the Downright Nerdy Podcast. And I'm just going to preface this by saying that I am traditionally not a Susan Sarandon fan. Yeah, I'm so sorry to have offended anyone. However, I will say that I watched this last night with Riley, and I was very, very pleased with the entire film. I was very everything was a ton from beginning to end. I think Ryan said the word wacky, and that couldn't describe this movie better because it was while it did have some very real themes to it, it definitely gave a different side, like a little lighthearted side at times, especially with Christopher Walken and Steve Buscemi. I mean, God, those guys are just ridiculous. Especially their conversation about circumcision was one of the funniest things that I literally almost fell off the bed laughing. But yeah, no, overall, very, very good. I'm very happy you picked this because it's not something I would have ever watched ever. So thank you, Ryan, for choosing it. And yeah, good.
Yeah, and I guess that's how I want to start with my thoughts, is that this is another one of those movies that I might have never run into had we not been doing this show. So that's exciting. I was very back and forth on this as it was going, if I was going to be honest. Like the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to love this. So far, it's great when they're arguing in the kitchen, all that stuff. It almost feels like, and I'm going to make an assumption here that this was either John Turturro's first shot at directing, or it was early in his directing, career. I'm assuming he hasn't directed that many things. I know that he does have a sequel to The Big Lebowski that he's doing shortly because he plays Jesus. But yeah, I liked some aspects of it. Some of it didn't really work for me. It felt apparently it was produced by the Coen brothers, which it felt almost like an imitation of a Coen brothers movie to me. It almost felt experimental. Like I got what they were trying to do, but I'm not sure that it was successfully done. Now, from what I understand, after reading a little bit into this, there are people that love this. Like Roger Ebert gave this 4 stars. And I guess I don't understand why. I think I'm leaning more towards Paul's side of this time. But I do think it has some merit. I mean, the cast is great. Yeah. I don't know what that hatred with Susan Sarandon is about, Mike. We're going to have to take this outside, I think. This is
Hollywood
just ridiculous.
Sweetheart.
Yes, I love Susan Sarandon. She was great in Ray Donovan, by the way. But yeah, I thought it was interesting, to say the least. It's another one of those movies where it's like, it's kind of a musical. It's kind of not. They're clearly they're not singers, right? The actors. Mm-hmm. So they're clearly almost lip syncing or something, and it doesn't always even match up.
Right.
Oh, especially with Kate Winslet's.
That's why I like it.
I like that artistic touch. I like that they weren't on perfect sync with their mouths.
It reminds me of singing in the shower, singing in your car. You're not going to be in sync with it, but your feelings are coming across as such.
Sure, but then you've got the crews of extras that roll into the shot and they're dancing around. The cops are doing it. It's like
garbage men are laying in the street.
Are you a musical or are you not? Or I don't know exactly what the goal was.
I thought it was surrealism was the goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
it was surreal.
Because if you look at the very end, when he has the Frankenstein moment of throwing Kate Winslet into the lake. You realize after that scene happens that she didn't get thrown into the lake, and you can really do that for the entire movie. The cops are dancing. Did Bo actually kill her? No, he didn't, because she's in the diner. It's all that's what he felt like doing to her. So it's a lot of just using music as an example of emotion, just in really, really, again, surreal, interesting, kind of silly ways.
It was funny. Me and Riley, as we were watching this, obviously Mandy Moore was a character here, right? But we were joking around lightweight and saying, yeah, the other actors who can't sing, who are lip syncing, sound better than Mandy Moore. Can't stand her.
That's kind of funny that they used Mandy Moore, who's a singer, and does she get a moment to really belt out a song in this? Maybe she does. I guess
with her boyfriend.
She sings I know a guy who's tough but sweet.
Okay.
but it's a couple lines.
I want candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does.
She does a lot. She does a lot more acting than you think. Like you've never heard of this movie. She does a lot of movies like you've never heard of this movie kind of movie.
She is great. She is great in This Is Us, which I will admit that I watch. Yes.
This Is Us.
The one where the scene where I think I'm assuming it's the scene where she gets impregnated by the boyfriend, right? And he's
Freiberg.
Dance. Oh, me and Riley were rolling. I'm like, that's what I'm wearing. I'm wearing that wedding night. It's gonna happen.
So
I'm surprised you didn't make Riley make you a hamburger like that.
She was like, "What is he trying? What is he trying to make?" No, that's not food.
I did like the whole aspect of like, okay, he's done some bad things, but he's not a bad guy. I mean, everybody has like shades of gray, right? So I did like that, and you do feel bad for him because the daughters aren't on his side. Like everybody's against him, right? And
he is a whore master. Do not forget, he still cheated on his wife multiple times and continued to even after this was found out. So.
His dad and his grandpa were both whore masters.
It's in his genes.
It's in your genes.
Right. Whore mastery.
Right.
In your genes.
Right, but he realizes what's important by the end, and I think if you don't have that, then what's the point of the movie?
Yeah,
you know?
Right.
Unfortunately, when it's too late, yeah.
Well,
right,
I just like Gandolfini though. I miss him. I didn't realize how much I've missed him.
So did I. Look, I watched this with my roommates. This is the first movie of these that I watched with my roommates because they're also big theater guys. Like we're all like theater people, right? And I reminded them that he passed away, and she's like, "Oh my god, I forgot he even died." And it was kind of sad for like a half second. I'm like, "Oh man, he's so good." And if you've only known him from Sopranos, this isn't a type of thing you'd think he'd do. But if you look at his filmography, he does a lot of small comedies, and he's actually he's got multitudes. That dude's really talented. He was really talented.
The last film that he did with Julia Louis-Dreyfus was really good. I can't remember.
Oh, that comedy, right?
Didn't he wear a toupee in that?
Yeah. I guess I can't remember the name of it, but I remember it being kind of fun.
Yeah,
I was thinking as we were watching, or as I was watching it, the wife was on her phone the whole time, which I kind of understood, which was kind of another tell to me that like, okay, this movie's a little out there. But I was thinking about how much we're missing by having a guy like that gone, because he's one of those like classic actors that just is awesome in everything he's in.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a question for you. What movie that's come out since Gandolfini's passed away do you think he would have been a better choice for the lead actor?
Oh God, that's too hard.
See, I don't have an answer for that, but I was talking to my roommate because we're also comic book fans, and I was saying James Gandolfini would have made an excellent Kingpin if they would have given him a chance.
Sure.
That dude has such a presence, and when he's intimidating, dude in Sopranos, like he is like horrifying sometimes. Like man, like that dude can really drop the level in a room.
Yeah, but then you got to replace D'Onofrio, who is also awesome.
I would never want to do that, but if they did
that's
like
a tough call between him and D'Onofrio, though. Now that you say that, that's
D'Onofrio rules, though. Yeah.
Was there anything in particular? I mean, you mentioned Mike the scene you talked about. We've talked about the circumcision thing, which I thought was kind of funny.
My circulation's fine.
I guess Paul, to you, since you're probably the person that disliked this the most. And by the way, thank you for finishing the movie this time.
It was tough. It was tough.
But since you like this one the least, at what moment in the movie were you just like pulling your hair out? Like, this is just driving me crazy. I mean, or what about it caused that, I guess?
I think it was just, I don't know. It just didn't do anything for us. Maybe just, I don't know. I don't mind the musical part of it. I think it was just maybe too much sex stuff. I mean, not that that's a bad thing, but it just is part of the story. I don't know.
It doesn't, again, like this movie when it came out, like it not that Rotten Tomatoes means anything, but it has like 50% of Rotten Tomatoes, so like it was split down the middle. Like not everyone loves this movie, and again, it is not a traditional movie. My roommate said it best. He called this is an everyman's musical because the people can't sing very well. The garbage men are the dancers. It feels very like low budget. Like this is what like regular people making a musical would do. It's not Les Mis. at all.
No, to your point, it's like Mike said. I think it was you, Mike, who said it's like singing in the shower or something. That is a good point.
Yeah.
It feels like your everyday guys doing that. Now, I would like to point out something I really liked to throw it over to Ryan's background there. Christopher Walken as like the buddy who's trying to help find the woman was that whole part I liked. I liked when Gandolfini's mom came and visited him in the hospital.
Yes. Right. She yells at Buscemi to sit down, and he just obeys like a good little boy.
Yeah, I feel like I was this close to like loving this movie. It was like one where I was either gonna go either way. I felt that way throughout the movie, but then when it ended, it's like, okay, I respect the fact that this is something different. It's something interesting, but at the same time, like, would I pop this on ever again and enjoy watching it? I don't think so.
Not every movie has to be.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And
again,
every movie's not going to be, but I certainly didn't hate it. Again, we have it above Mac and Me, I would say, way above Mac and Me, which is just an abomination. And I can't wait for the next abomination, by the way. I really want that. But Paul, what's up?
I told my wife I'd rather watch Mac and Me
Oh, wow.
than this. It just didn't grab us. I really did like the Kate Winslet underwater scene, though. I thought that was really shot very well.
That was kind of neat.
Makes you think that's
It just didn't.
And hey, that's where you know James Gandolfini's a changed man, because he, she offers something up to him and he just says no, which, not many men, I think, in that situation are that strong.
When they're first together after he gets the circumcision and she's telling him what he can do to her on the second go around, and he's like, really?
You can knock on my back door if you like.
Yeah.
Right.
God.
I'm just dying. And he's just laying there and he's just like snoring, going, really?
Now, Cookie, you thought the movie, you're kind of in the middle. I suppose you're kind of with me, maybe leaning more towards liking it. You said you're a Christopher Walken guy then.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
So his character, the way it played out, I guess my other question would be where does he end up in the movie? Like, do we even know, like, what is his character's like closing moment in the movie? When is he done?
I think he's like the random uncle, the cool uncle that everybody wants to hang out with. And his story, I think, continues on because he doesn't really find love. He sees his love continue to walk away, and he can't come to the realization that it's gone. It's over. I got to go on to the next best thing. That's part of life. You can't get stuck on what's in the past. And I feel like that's what the story kind of really drags on about is the past is the past. We have to continue to move forward and grow from our mistakes. And I feel that he didn't grow from his mistake. He's still that childlike guy that's still trying to chase after a dream that's not going to happen.
Okay. Anybody get emotionally? Did anybody get sad in this watching it? Did anyone get like emotional? Did it tug on the heartstrings enough to make you sad? Anyone?
No, not really. I was mostly having a good time. I will say the closest I got emotionally was actually near the end with Kate Winslet and him at the lake, when she was like for the first time really showing emotions, where like she's not just like, even though she's talking about sex all the time, she seems to actually care about him. And I was like, oh, she actually is a real person and not just a whore or whatever, you know.
Whores wear underwear.
Yeah,
or it's pretending to be one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she's a victim too of his, correct? Yeah. I mean, really? So
they're using each other, yeah.
Riley screamed at the TV at that scene. She's like, "That's what you get for leaving Leonardo DiCaprio to drown. He could have fit on that." Oh,
jeez. Still holding on to that one, huh?
Wow, much bitter.
She survived 84 years later to have an affair with James Gandolfini.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
God.
Right, and she still looks great.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Yoshin does
all
wonders.
that fancy underwear from the whores.
Right.
Yeah. That's Victoria's Secret's immortality.
I mean, anyone else? Anything else
Better
in
say goodbye to my wife
particular
now.
to say about this? Is this? I mean, you know,
what was your guys' take on that? Was like it just felt like it was out of place.
Which part?
The still fight, like when he actually went. I understand that brought in the first type of words that she said back to him, but as far as everything else, like I felt like that was just a little out of place.
No, that was to symbolize the turning of him trying to reclaim his marriage.
And
was him sticking up
I
for
got a
her
question, too,
and her
Michael.
recognizing that.
She speaks to me like the first time in who
Yeah,
knows how long.
I took that as important because it almost was her like seeing what she liked about him in the first place, maybe a little bit. So it kind of reignited a relationship between them. Now, why does it have to be a snow fight with Amy Sedaris, which I believe
And the
is
Fruit Man.
I believe before we started recording Pinky's Out, you pegged her as Carol
did.
Baskin. So that's
did.
that actress.
Yes,
but,
that's her. Exactly.
yeah, so I think that was it. Mike, it sounded like you had a question.
Yeah, I had a question too. Did anybody else? I'm assuming was this everybody's first time watching it, other with the exception of Ryan?
Yeah.
I never even heard of it.
I love that's
Anybody-
that's fantastic. I love that.
Did anybody else kind of think in the beginning that the redhead or Kate Winslet's character was maybe fake and all like
Yes.
of his imagination for a little
Yes.
while?
Yeah.
I did. Yep,
Okay.
I did.
I'm glad.
I was thinking that it was like a young version of Susan Sarandon for a minute at the beginning.
Talking about all these like
I did
how
too.
Bashimi keeps talking about like the redheads or was I can't someone was talking about redheads and I turned to Riley like, isn't Sarandon a redhead?
Yeah,
like, maybe it's just her and her younger self, and he's just wishing that she was this young the young version of her. That,
Exactly.
He was
Well,
missing.
I took that. I mean, that's something that's in society too. It's like women worry about men always wanting to trade in for a newer model or whatever. And this movie had a lot to say about that too. This is another one where the more we're talking about it, I guess the more I'm liking it.
Good.
And
Shows how a hot dad bod is great for younger women. So
yeah, and Conquistadorks, by the way. This is free on Vudu with ads right now, so you can
Hell
find
yeah.
it there.
Pluto TV.
I rented
There
it.
you go.
Ton of ads, by the way.
Yeah.
Ton of ads.
$3.99.
John
Yeah.
Turturro, appreciate your money, Michael.
And thank you all for joining in. Just
It'll pay for
just
the new Lebowski movie.
just to real quick, acknowledge the chat. Mike's way better at acknowledging the
Okay,
chat.
cool. Let's do this. I mean, obviously we had Conquistador because he was one of the first ones coming in. He's been a good supporter of not only my show but obviously with Cookie. They do an awesome Sunday show called Silver Age Sundays where they talk all about Silver Age comic books. It's really really great. We got Photosynthesis Lobo, new one. I'm not too familiar with Photosynthesis. We've talked to Ken. Do you know who that
What's
is?
up, Lobo?
I do
Great,
not know.
great
Oh,
name. Great name.
Yeah, great. I thought you were laughing like I thought you did.
Oh no, somebody down in the chat said I look 90, but I'm 5 at heart.
Life with two YouTubers. Sharon, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much.
Sharon's the one that said I look 90, but I'm 5 at heart.
We got over on the Facebook. We got Derek Sutton coming by. What's up? And obviously and that's it. That's what we got so far.
I love it.
Let's see. Leaves me out, Cookie. I look 90, but I'm 5 at heart. That's cute.
I like this movie because like a lot of the movies I pick, like they're lower budget, like passion project movies, and it's just like John Turturro wanted to just make a weird ass musical about regular people. Like without the musical, this is just a movie about infidelity, and it'd just be another drama that like I might not want to see. But like they twisted it in such a way where it's really fantastical while still being relatively realistic in parts. I think my favorite scene might be, and it's like completely unrelated to the actual movie, but it just is displaying how hot Kate Winslet is the firefighting scene where they're all dancing and they're putting out fires
like,
and they're just like worshiping her. And that's just to show like how much power she has over everybody and how hot she is. And I mean, like, that's the only thing you can do in movies. You can't, I mean, like Broadway, but you know what I mean? It's the type of thing you got to see to believe like, wow, I see what you're doing there. It's weird. You're either in or you're out.
That's a good point. You want to, if that is your favorite scene, what is everybody else's favorite scenes?
The snowball fight, the fight with the snow when Sarandon picks up the bush, pulls it out of the ground, and whacks that guy over the head with it. That was just awesome.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ryan.
Sorry, if you remember, there's a scene where Gandolfini is tied up and like he's like a slave, and all his wives and daughters are with him. Samson,
tied to the swing set.
Yeah, he's tied to the swing set. It's so good, and he's ripping up the thing, and it pulls it out. like he's trying to gain his freedom back, and Susan Sarandon pulls out something and it looks just like it, and she's helping him get his freedom back further. And it's like, oh, like I see. That's me being, I'm just trying to find things.
I mean, we also haven't really discussed how the movie is named Romance and Cigarettes, and it's like two great things that people love or get addicted to and will kill you.
Yes.
I guess was kind of the, so I liked the part
Both
at
will
the
kill
end
you.
where he acknowledges that with the priest guy.
Yeah.
I thought that was good.
Eddie Izzard's in this movie. That dude's like a classic actor. It's like it's just like there's so many small actors who are just like John Turturro's like, hey, you want to be in my little movie?
Oh, the scene when they're looking for the card and that the Indian owner is like, "No, get out, get out."
Oh yeah,
We feel bad. I am lonely.
I don't want to feel sad.
Paul's sitting over there looking like, yeah, I just loved all these scenes that you guys are talking about.
Paul's just mad we haven't acknowledged he upgraded his headphone game. So
Oh, nice.
My other headphones are broke, so this is my backup.
Oh, okay.
The other ones I could take the one out and listen to for the family if they're too loud in the
He's
background.
like, I can take the one out so I don't have to listen to you guys.
No, I think my favorite scene was the underwater Kate Winslet musical scene.
Yeah, I mean,
I was holding my breath to see if I could hold my breath as long as her.
well, you wanted her to drown in Titanic, so you got to see her drown this time.
Revenge.
So, right. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much else to say.
Cookie, what was your favorite scene? Sorry.
Yeah, Cookie. Oh, no, Mike, thank you for keeping me in check. I appreciate that.
The diner with Christopher Walken and explaining like his love life and how he couldn't get it up for the one girl that he loved, but he was
nail everybody else.
Exactly.
It's qualified to satisfy you.
I don't mean to be cruel, but it's the truth.
Yeah, this movie does have a lot to say about like the reptilian brain in men. You know what I mean? Like it's very deep in that respect, I would say.
A 14-year-old wrote it after he saw his first Playboy.
It's funny because John Turturro wrote this around the same time that he was in Barton Fink, which is the Coen Brothers movie. So he was thinking about Hollywood and lots of the ways people are treated, and he's like, I can make a movie about that maybe. And then he did like 10 years later.
Yeah,
the actress that
I'm a
plays
big fan of
Rosebud.
his. Rosebud. Which character was that again?
That was the daughter, the adopted daughter.
Oh, that's Ada Turturro. That's his sister.
That's his sister. Okay.
Yeah.
And he played
She was
Tony's
the sister. Yep, in Sopranos.
In Sopranos, yep.
I thought so. I love her.
all connected.
She does a good job of playing an unhinged lady.
So can you straighten this up? The only one who's the actual daughter is, or are there two actual daughters? No, because the Weeds actress is their real daughter, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
and Mandy Moore
in the
is
Weeds.
too?
They both are.
Okay.
All three of them were.
No, she's one of them's adopted for sure. It's a quick line. It's a quick line.
Yeah, I was confused as hell by that. I'm like, wait a minute, who's a daughter?
It's not super important, but one of them is adopted.
Right.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
The oldest, though, they kind of make it sound like the oldest is her first love's
could have been
daughter.
It can be implied.
That died when he went off to Vietnam or whatever. So
yeah.
Yeah,
man.
The time period thing's weird too, because I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, this seems like it takes place in modern times, but then sometimes when they mention stuff and show like the Vietnam guy, the guy who was the president in Scandal, another show I'm embarrassed to have watched. And he was also in Jason Lives, Paul. He was the one who was in the car driving when she said, hey, I've seen too many horror movies to not believe that this guy's up to no good or whatever. But yeah, that guy, he like almost seems like the age range. And when does this take place? It is modern times, right? So Vietnam was like 50 years ago or 45 years
this
ago.
movie came out in 2005, so it's 15 years old.
Okay.
Well, they say the war. That could be what Desert Storm. Like that could be Iraq. Like it could be. It's not Iraq, obviously. So, but like maybe Desert Storm. The problem with having young children is like because it's like Mandy Moore and like all these adult women. Are they supposed to be teenagers or are they supposed to be 25?
I'm so confused by that. Right.
So I just assume they're young girls. So like just add 20 years. Like anywhere America's been in, whatever.
The friend that was the mom of of Mandy Moore's boyfriend. I couldn't tell if she was trying to
Grace.
do an Irish. Yeah, I
Whatever.
couldn't tell if she was trying to be an
Her
Irish
accent,
accent or a German accent.
Yeah, I didn't
She
understand.
kept flipping back and forth.
She's like, one day I'm gonna be on one of those metal cannon flying
I
metal.
thought she was
that's what I
just
thought they were gonna-
crazy.
Well, I thought
think
they were
she
going to
was.
start singing "I'm Leaving on a Jet Airplane" every time they kept mentioning that. I'm like, please just sing that damn song.
I got a question, Paul. After
Yeah.
we've talked about it this much, do you have any change of heart, or are you still nope? This movie sucks.
No,
I like but I just appreciate the artistic part of it. With the voices not being exactly synced up. The underwater scene was neat. The fire, the snow shovel. Like, I liked some of the scenes I got enjoyment out of, and were entertained. But overall, it wasn't my cup of tea.
You didn't enjoy Hot Pants? Hot Pants.
I forgot about that song.
I gotta tell you, when this movie starts, it starts kind of regularly, as a musical opening with a regular song, but a lot of movies do that. The second that James Gandolfini says, why don't you go back to your first love? And then that guy comes on screen, that's when I know, oh, I'm gonna like this type of movie.
That's
when
what
it does
I thought too.
Yes,
That's
when it does
what
that
I
surreal
thought,
shit,
too.
I love that stuff. I remember the walks we used to take, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be one of those things. I love it. I'm totally in.
Yeah, I thought
I like weird shit though.
Hey Jackson, let's say before we get into our final grades, let me just hit the chat up one more time.
Go for it.
All right, cool. One of our greatest supporters, Solo Wookie, is in the house. He had a good color. What did he say? He goes, didn't get a chance to see this one, so if the reviews are bad, I probably won't see it. Well, I think that we're
Mostly positive. Mostly.
You should see it,
Mostly
Solo.
positive, yeah.
You should see it.
And just and for everybody else that's watching here in the chat, Solo Wookie will be a guest on our show in about 30 minutes when we're going to be talking about these awesome books here in a few.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
So we have Hardly Heroes podcast, the best
Hey,
pop culture podcast in Northern California. They noticed I changed my shirt earlier show. Yeah, a little.
I think you've worn that shirt the last 3 shows.
Yeah, you love that shirt. You love your Taco Bell, huh, Mike?
You have no idea.
Demolition Man sequel.
The only thing that might be better is is if I had Taco Bell with me, right? But I can make that
shirt.
I got to ask Mike, what's your go-to at Taco Bell? What's your item of choice?
Yes.
Oh, really?
That's a good answer.
Yeah. No,
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah. So if there's probably 3, I'll usually get my 3 items, and then I'll get 2 to 3 new items, I guess you would say. So I'll get cheesy gordita crunch, a chalupa, and a bean burrito. The cheesy gordita crunch, I always get it with the Doritos taco shell, as opposed to the original. And I have a rule that with however many items I get at Taco Bell, I need to get the same amount of sides of nacho cheese to dip it in. And that makes me a happy Mike. So
you've got a very a good regimen there. I
have noticed the shirts are getting a little bigger. They're not quite medium anymore.
Just nailing down a system that works.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Can we change this to the Taco Bell cast real quick?
Yeah, right. Yeah, where's the Chihuahua? Anybody got a Chihuahua?
If they send me a free crunch wrap, I'm all for it. So
there you go. So I think unless anybody else has anything to say, it's probably time to spin a wheel, huh?
Sounds good. Do you want to do some final? Are we doing final reviews first before the wheel?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that first. Cool. See, thank God he's here to keep me on task. Last week was just too rough, but yeah. Final thoughts. We'll start with you, Mike.
Cool. I am going to give this a final grade of a solid B. I really enjoyed everything. There were very few times where I was bored, if there were really any times. The only reason why I'm probably giving this a B as opposed to an A is I know I'm never going to always be in the mood for a movie like this, but it was really cool. For it being my first time seeing it, not knowing anything about it before going in, and I didn't even know who was in this movie because we all made the deal that we're not going to watch a trailer or anything beforehand, right? So me just typing in the thing on Amazon, and the cover doesn't even have any of the actors' names on it, so I had no idea what to expect or who was going to be in it until the credits started rolling, and I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed it. While it was weird and wacky, it was still enjoyable, and thank you, Ryan, for the recommendation.
Sweet. And
Yeah.
Paul, I think you're next in line here.
A D for me. Just I appreciate the artisticness of it. It just didn't catch the attention of my wife and I the way I thought it would, being a comedy musical. But I mean, I'm not sad or that I watched it. It's just it's probably something I won't pop in again. But I appreciate the got to try something new every now and then.
Yeah, just like your vegetables when you were a kid, right? And Ryan?
Yeah, I would give this an A-. This is definitely one of those like really weird, like this is a Ryan movie. Like it's out there. I watch so many movies where I need something really unique or interesting to really catch my eye these days, because it's pretty easy to make a low budget movie these days, and like they shit them out, to be honest. So like when something like this comes out and you see the care and the ingenuity and just like the fun that these people must have had making this movie, I definitely think it's worth watching at least once. Again, like it's not a movie I want to pop in all the time like a Star Wars or something, but it's definitely a movie you should see at least once. A-. What's up?
And he owns it. There you go.
I bought it for $1 at Blockbuster.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that's right. You still have that $1 copy from 10 years ago. Ken.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a solid B+. I loved the kind of 14, 15-year-old humor, but I liked the more serious undertone that Gandolfini kind of brought to it at times. And I want to amend my favorite scene because I get to thinking a little more. My favorite scene of this movie is in the last 10 minutes of the movie when Sarandon walks in and pulls out the knife and scares the living shit out of Gandolfini.
Oh, man.
And then they just both start laughing.
That's so good.
And I won't spoil any more about it. You'll have to watch why she does that, but then they just both lose it in that scene. And that's my favorite scene of the movie. It's towards the end. Watch it. It's a nice movie. Like I said, it's got a lot of quick slapstick humor as far as the dirty jokes and the sexual overtones that'll make you giggle. And listening to Steve Buscemi talk about sexual subjects is just hilarious because you just don't think of Steve Buscemi as being as a ladies' man. So just watch it. Give it a watch. I mean, what else you get to do during quarantine? You've already plowed through all your seasons of The Office. Go for it.
That's true. That is true. And Cookie, my man with the new house.
It's a good movie. I definitely give it probably like a C+ because it's on the average for me. It can go either way depending on what the mood you're kind of feeling for. But it's not a movie that you're gonna normally pick up. Like if a blockbuster was still going on, it's not a movie that you're gonna be like, oh, I need to go and watch this. But the fact that Ryan picked this, I would have never picked this in my entire life, and I'm actually really glad that he did pick this as a film because it's enjoyable. It's an enjoyable film that you normally wouldn't pick. It's off of like the regular radar. It speaks a lot of tones when it comes to a film as a whole. It touches a lot of different various genres. It's definitely humorous. It's definitely sexually type of like pizzazz type of thing. So I wouldn't recommend watching it with kids, but it's an enjoyable film nonetheless. So I'd say go watch it.
Perfect. And and I'll give it a C. I think that it's got really good parts to it. I think some of it doesn't quite work for me. I was a little more confused than I think I should be watching a movie like this, I will say. But yeah, overall, I would say watch it. I mean, I'm all for anything that's different. I would rather watch a C that's interesting than another blockbuster that I've seen a million times. That's 100%. So yeah, I would recommend the movie. It's not like something I would not recommend.
Great music too. I think
the music was good.
Good soundtrack.
But yeah, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and see who's picking the next movie here.
Will this be the week that Jackson finally gets to pick?
Yeah, we should just create a graphic.
Oh, geez.
Can we create
did you add another one for you or no?
No, I'm not. Hey, I like to play fair. But I'm ready to make a graphic, with, how like they've got in warehouses, they have that graphic that says how many days since the last workplace incident or whatever. So I'm ready for one of those. But yeah, let's go ahead
I think
let's
you need
go
to
ahead.
Now that you said that.
I love winning. I just feel bad if I'd win again.
Well, hey, it's not your problem.
It's true.
Yeah,
you're right.
So
Thank you.
We are spinning it, and we're gonna go ahead and click the button here.
Did we do our genre for the audience though?
We got to figure out. We got to figure out what we're gonna do for that.
It's you.
And
I think
Mike.
you need to spin that again.
Just a little
Mike
more.
wins.
Hey, you all love my last movie.
That's true. That's true.
So Mike, what are we watching this coming week?
Beep, boop, beep, boop.
How about if we
Demolition
go?
Man.
I'm going to keep it old school. I'm going to go with an Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh,
I'm already in.
Ooh.
Rear
I'm
Window.
What's
Rear
that?
Window?
Rear window?
Rear Window.
Oh.
Okay.
Thick.
How many of you
All
guys
right.
have seen it?
I want to say I saw this like 20 years ago, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
Or
remember
plus.
it at all.
Good.
I do love Alfred Hitchcock, though. I had a bunch of different
Yes.
movies in my head when you said that.
Yeah.
That I was
Yeah.
waiting, so that wasn't one of them. But hell yeah, let's
And
do
they're,
it.
all,
Yeah.
and they're all good too. Most
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
don't
with
think you can
that,
pick a bad one.
with that being said, let's go ahead and say our goodbyes, starting with Mike.
Cool. Hey, once again, I am Mike from the Downright Nerdy podcast, and thank you guys all for coming out, hanging out with us. Don't forget, we also do our Downright Annoyed with Comic Man Andy show, which will air in about 20 minutes. That will be on this channel, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So it will be on this channel. So just kind of stick around. Solo Wookie is going to be making a awesome guest appearance for that as well. Me and my fiance Riley, we normally do a weekly podcast about pop culture and all that stuff. No new podcast today because we are getting ready for our 60th episode next Saturday, where it's going to be live Saturday night, and it's going to be our huge giveaway episode. And hint, hint, the more people that are in the chat, the more stuff we're going to be giving away to people that are actually in the chat. So make sure you guys share, get a whole bunch of people. If you don't have a YouTube subscription or a profile, create one and join, because that'll just give you extra chances to win.
Sweet. And I would normally go in order to the next person in the row, which is Paul, but I see that Ryan is holding something up.
Oh, I didn't know you could see it.
So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this.
I
I'm
was gonna
assuming
say-
this is the box for
No,
film.
this is a once in a lifetime underdog American classic. Describes me, Ryan Oleopoulos, host of the Fake Nerd Podcast, co-host of the Fake Nerd Podcast, which is live every Sunday. Last week we talked about Mortal Kombat : Scorpion's Revenge. If you guys like anime plus Mortal Kombat equals, you should watch it. That's my review. This week, I don't know what we're doing. We'll figure it out. We got a couple hours. We're good. I personally have been streaming lots of video games. You can find me on DJ Tony Snark everywhere, YouTube, Twitch, anywhere people play video games. That's me. Here's my guns.
Sweet. Thank you, sir, as always. And let's go back up to Paul now.
Hey, Paul from Tales from the Flipside. Check out our YouTube channel. Got a bunch of new shows, different playlists for old comics and foreign comics and all sorts of crazy stuff. And more information on comicbookinvest.com, all sorts of good articles and stuff. So check it out. Appreciate it.
Sweet. And who's next? Who we got next? I went out of order. We'll go with Ken.
Hey, I'm Ken from Pinky's Out Podcast. Eventually, we'll have some new content out there. We talk about beer and different things, and we're kind of on a hiatus right now. So, yeah, I've been enjoying doing the movie stuff. So,
Sweet. Well, we can listen to your old episodes, right?
That's right.
The Hitchcock episodes.
there's
the
right.
classics.
There's probably 6 hours, I think.
There you go.
Our episodes are pretty long. That's why it takes us forever to get new ones out. So
Sweet. All right. And Cookie.
Hey guys, I'm Cookie from Just a Little Podcast. I have a live show, my first live show on my YouTube channel tomorrow. Going to be doing Celebrate Sunday and also unboxing an AOK from a fellow YouTuber and Instagrammer as well. So definitely check that out. And then now that I've actually moved into my new place, as you can see, there's nothing in there. And yes, there's an echo, and I apologize because it's walls. It's completely bare, but hopefully I'll start to build this thing up little by little. I'm going to start putting out some more episodes now that I've actually moved into the new place. So thank you guys.
Sorry,
Sweet.
we've
And,
muted you this entire episode anyway. That's right.
Cookie, out of curiosity, what time is your show tomorrow night?
11 o'clock in the morning.
Tomorrow during the day then. Yeah,
Yes.
wake up bright and early, grab your...
That's Eastern time, correct?
Eastern time. Yeah. So if you
Grab
get the opportunity, definitely check it out. It's nice and fun.
Perfect. And I am Jackson with Born Annoyed. Today is the 40th anniversary of Friday the 13th's release. So you could go watch the first 5 episodes are up of Paul and I's retrospective review series on the series. So more of those will be coming every Friday to our channel. Obviously, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, subscribe on YouTube, all that fun stuff. And special thank you to Mike for handling the chat for me, because I can't keep my shit together.
And speaking of that, we got Solo Wookie still there. We got live with 2 YouTubers. Hardly Heroes is still hanging out. He's got a good, the Downright Bell cast. I'm gonna make that. You guys are all invited. Sounds good.
Yeah, and then he did also say, Mike, which I really
we can do
appreciate.
an on-air tasting of Taco Bell.
Guys, don't tease about this because I'm committed to everything.
I really appreciate Solo Wookie tonight because he really is feeling my pain, apparently. I'm waiting to win. I think it's rigged. I think someone has hacked my computer.
You're the guy.
Someone has hacked
It's
my
your
computer. Probably is the cat. He causes most of the problems in my life. But yes, I'm Jackson, bored and annoyed, and thank you once again for joining. As Mike said, we are going to be discussing Spawn after this, which he's got the books right there. We'll be talking Spawn in a little bit, so stick around. And Mike, one last question for you. Since you're recording Saturday night, are we pushing next week's episode to another week?
No. I'm sorry. It'll be after all our shows. So
okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. I suppose you're Pacific time. Awesome.
Yeah, Pacific
all right.
time. We're gonna be golden.
Perfect. Well, hey, thank you all for being here. And Cookie, thank you. We missed you last week, so we were happy you were back. So
Andy, great supporter coming in at the very last second.
Spawn.
And thank God Andy didn't pick the movie for next week. That's another miracle. But everybody have a good night. Stay safe. Wear your masks. Wash your hands. All that stuff.
Wings.